Good Michael, good. Upload another Star Wars video. Upload it now.
I shouldn't.
I just heard that PlayStation released a PS4 port of Republic Commando.
Boy, let me tell you, this game was the most badass, coolest thing as a kid. And even today, over 16 years later, I still believe that this is one of the strongest concepts in Star Wars outside of the main saga. Following fresh off my Battlefront epiphany that soldiers equal cool, when I first set my eyes on the trailer for Republic Commando, it was like my wildest dreams come true. A dark and gritty first-person shooter where you're essentially playing as the Republic's Navy SEALs, infiltrating enemy outposts and hunting down aliens.
Yes!
Taking control of squad leader Delta 38, you and your team are sent on dangerous espionage missions behind enemy lines, and throughout the story you will visit iconic locations such as Geonosis, Kashyyyk, and even a derelict Republic assault ship. The only question to now ask is, does the game still hold up today? Let's dive in to Star Wars Republic Commando. First off, I absolutely love the settings for each of the game's 3 campaigns. Deploying to Geonosis on day 1 of the Clone Wars, you will engage droids inside the huge gladiatorial coliseum from Attack of the Clones, hunt down a Geonosian separatist leader, move deep into the catacombs to infiltrate and shut down a droid factory, before finally sneaking aboard one of the Trade Federation core ships and destroying it from the inside out. Initially serving as a tutorial for the player, this is the easiest campaign of the 3, providing only a few moments of difficulty towards the end, such as the final push to escape the core ship under a 5-minute timer. The second campaign, and my personal favourite scenario, sees Delta Squad responding to a distress call sent from a missing Republic assault ship that has mysteriously shown up floating in deep space. F***ing badass. No matter how many times I've replayed this game, the atmosphere at the beginning of this mission never fails to excite me. Bordering on the horror genre, exploring the corridors reveals the aftermath of a massacre. Debris and clone troopers litter the floor, with fires left still burning to illuminate your way.
You will pay with your life. Shotguns?
After the realization that the ship was boarded by Trandoshan pirates, you are left to rally with your squad members and fight off the invaders.
Take a look. Oh, blast.
Ending with a full-scale assault from a Trade Federation battleship, this campaign is the first real test of your abilities to deal with overwhelming odds. Finally, after arriving on Kashyyyk to help quell a Trandoshan slave trade, Delta Squad is tasked with the rescue of Wookiee Chief Tarful. Beginning as a covert infiltration, the Kashyyyk campaign ramps up the stakes, confirming the Separatist alliance with the Trandoshans once General Grievous is sighted. Before you know it, as the Separatist fleet arrives, Delta Squad are forced to assist the Wookiees in the defense of their planet. Throwing everything the game has at the player, Kashyyyk's campaign holds some of the toughest combat encounters, and will quickly determine an effective squad leader from an incompetent one.
You have the lead. You're running out of time.
As mentioned in the intro, the player controls Delta 38, more commonly known to his team as Boss, and once again voiced by the always excellent Temuera Morrison. Fuck me, that's a hard name to say. Along for the ride are 38's 3 squad mates.
Eat plasma, you stupid directly behind the droid emplacement.
6-2, codenamed Scorch, is the demolitions expert, and maybe more noticeably the jokester of the group.
These must be the droids we're looking for.
4-0, known as Fixer, is the tech slicer of the team, and tends to be a little bit of a stickler for the rules.
Uploading and linking with your visor, sir.
And finally 07, Sev. Sev is the sniper and definitely 100% killed small animals growing up.
Getting acquainted with the locals, eh, Sev?
That was fun.
The dude's a homicidal maniac, is all I'm saying.
Here's hoping they don't surrender.
Stow it, Sev.
You may have noticed that the 4 clone troopers each sound rather unique from one another. Yes, it is a little law-breaking not to have one voice, i.e. Temuera, for every member, but it was obvious that sometime during development, it was decided that in order to better differentiate each squad mate's personalities, they had to get in multiple actors.
Delta Squad, execute door breach. Yes, sir. On our way. Commencing door breach maneuver. Keep me covered. Roger that.
Whilst the characters are now canon thanks to a brief cameo in the Clone Wars, the game itself isn't, and so this inconsistency in the voices doesn't bother me in the slightest, and I can appreciate how much the game is better for it. Now, having 3 badass AI teammates fighting back to back with you is one thing, but like other squad shooters such as Rainbow Six or Ghost Recon, Republic Commando gives you the ability to dish out commands to each individual member at any time. The system isn't a complex list of micro assignments, so you won't be able to have Fixer lay down suppressing fire, while Scorch flanks around behind the enemy, and Sev rappels down from the roof above like some sort of space Batman. But there are usually enough options during firefights to ensure that each member can be doing something useful, instead of simply running around in the open like a headless chicken. Sniping, grenade, anti-armor positions and turrets are scattered across each battlefield, and when assigned effectively, your squad can be devastating in combat. In addition, squad-wide commands such as holding a specific position, pushing the enemy, and suppressing fire on a single target can be issued when necessary. For what it's worth, for the majority of the enemies, a good player could easily one-man army through most encounters, but once more advanced units are introduced, the difficulty spike is pretty substantial. B1 battle droids, Geonosian warriors, and Trandoshan slavers make up the bulk of cannon fodder you'll encounter, and rarely will these guys be more than just a nuisance to push through. Trandoshan mercs are introduced halfway into the second campaign and prove a little more of a challenge, but it's not until you get to the A-listers that Republic Commando will beat you into the ground.
You really don't know about the League?
No.
Oh, well, hey, listen, man, don't worry about it.
Really?
Yeah, let's go get a beer.
It's great.
Boom!
If like me and you first played Battlefront 2, then you would likely assume that super battle droids are just as easy to take down as B1s. Hell no. These things are ridiculously tough to take down, even as a team. With a blaster that will tear through your shields and wrist rockets to put you down quicker than you can say. Super battle droids were always an instant focus for myself to take down during firefights. Droidicas also make an appearance later into the Geonosis campaign, but I'd actually say they prove much less of a challenge in comparison to supers. An EMP grenade will make short work of their shield, and once it's down their health pool is drastically lower. The next ass whooping you'll receive is from the Geonosian elites. You know how tough these guys are? They have an operatic music cue every time they appear.
Look out!
Flank the new target. Find cover.
Eliminate target.
What are they doing here?
Oh no. SpongeBob, quick! Can't you hear the music? That's a 4/4 string off sonata in D minor. Every sailor knows it means death. There you are, you stinking Mildred. Stop playing that music!
As a kid, these might have been the enemy I had most difficulty with. Objectively, there are tougher enemies to face down the line, but the combination of their tanky health bar, insane maneuverability, and that damn beam weapon which will drain through both your shields and health bar in mere seconds are no laughing matter. On their own, these guys aren't too bad, but when you're dealing with a bunch of ground enemies, for these guys to be above and picking your squad off one by one is a pain in the ass to deal with. Trandoshan elites on the other hand are much slower, but still pack the same amount of punch. Armed with
An LS-150 heavy ACP repeater.
Thank you, Fixer. Trandoshan elites are absolute units that will take an extreme amount of punishment before going down.
Yeah?
So, you've beaten all these units so far, and you're now feeling pretty tough. Like there's nothing else in the game to pose a challenge.
Do this, Leroy!
General Grievous's bodyguard encounters are tricky, mainly due to their speed and desire for melee attacks. See, friendly fire is on in this game, so once a bodyguard has one of your team singled out, it's much harder to deal with, as the risk of hurting and downing said member results in a loss of firepower. Careful and precise aim is crucial for these guys, as before you know it, you'll have gone through an entire clip of ammo trying to shoot them out of the sky, and that's when they'll come in for the kill. Finally, and we've saved the biggest for last, spider droids. Where all these previous enemies could be referred to as tanky, spider droids are literally that. They're big, four-legged tanks and they carry the firepower with it. With a full team each assigned at positions for maximum damage, you will be able to comfortably beat one. But if you are trying to deal with other enemies, or a team member gets downed, or hell if the game just throws two of them at you consecutively when you've only got Scorch's backup, then say your prayers, because only God can help you now.
Surprise, motherfucker!
You gotta be shitting me.
With all of these varied enemy types, the game can provide a ton of fun and varied combat situations, where careful management of your squad can be the pivotal point between life and death. The cost of these encounters, however, is an unintentional spotlight on what is now a struggling 16-year-old AI. To be clear, this is not a remake, it's barely a remaster, at least not in the same league as say the Halo 1 and Halo 2 remasters. What this PS4 release is essentially a port of the original Xbox or PC game with HD textures. This means that gameplay wise it plays identically to the 2005 release, and this includes the AI's behaviour. Yeah, it's a little stupid. Now it might sound weird when I say it, but no one is truly at fault here. LucasArts made this game back in 2005, so what advancements that have been made in the industry when it comes to enemy AI, companion AI, etc. is obviously not going to be present here. And Aspyr Media, who are the team behind the re-release, didn't remake the game from the ground up, so no blame can be placed there either. Just from my own personal experience replaying this game, I simply found that the further I got in, the stupider my teammates seemingly became. Slow reaction times to enemies, crouch walking next to enemies during firefights, leaving cover and straight charging heavy units when ordered to focus fire. The list goes on. My theory behind this phenomenon is that when engaging weaker enemies like battle droids, it's such a quick time to kill that it's likely the player has eliminated most of them before your squad has time to engage. When enemies that can soak up a lot more damage show up, then the cracks begin to show. Honestly, what does my guy think he's doing here? Don't get me wrong, your squad mates can take care of themselves. In built up areas they can find cover, and they will strafe incoming fire after taking a hit or two. But, and maybe this is due to being older and more critical, more often than I'd like, I'd lose that immersive atmosphere because Sev decided to run up and kick a super battle droid in the shin, rather than suppress from a safe distance. These are small nitpicks. As I said earlier, most combat scenarios provide enough predetermined marks to assign each member to. It's only during the segments in between where the AI seems to have a little bit of a meltdown. In a similar fashion, the enemy AI is serviceable if a little basic, either opting to stay behind one piece of cover come hell or high water, or saying fuck it and charging into no man's land. I rarely found the enemies would utilise tactics like flanking or grenades to flush you out. The difficulty mostly stems from the amount of enemies at one time and the multiple directions they will spawn in. I would truly love to see a modern next-gen sequel to this game. At the very least, I'd be interested to play through a complete remake of the original, one built entirely from the ground up just to see how the advancements in technology could enhance the experience. At the very least, Republic Commando holds one of, if not the coolest ideas in the Star Wars universe. And with spin-off shows like The Bad Batch, which focuses entirely on a ragtag group of clone troopers, Disney can clearly see the potential for success here. Even if a new entry into the series had to dismiss the story of the first game and start fresh in order to fit more neatly into the current canon, I'd be okay with it. Because whilst this game has its small issues, there's not a lot more than I'd rather do than take one last trip through the galaxy with Delta Squad and hunt some bugs.
Enemy terminated. Proceed to next sector.
Grenade thrown.
Lock and load.
Thanks again for tuning in, guys. This is probably one of the shorter videos I've done, but I just wanted to shed light on one of my favourite childhood games. If you have a Switch or a PlayStation 4 and you're looking for a short shooter to play through, then you can get this dirt cheap for about 15 quid, and I assure you it will be a blast. At the time of recording this, Resident Evil Village is coming out this Friday, so I'm looking forward to giving that a go, and I'll probably end up making a video on that one, given how much I adored Resident Evil 7. So until then, see you next time. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Share around with friends or comment below what you'd like to see in the future. Take care guys. See ya.